Okay, we're on time. All right. Mike, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioners. Mike Moss, Public Services Director. First thing on the agenda today, I sent this to you last week as a Tootle Park Road map.
Yeah.
A copy of today. I just printed out copies. Let's go over it real fast with you. Down in the lower right-hand corner is a cul-de-sac area where we have the two gates. The one road that leads up to the gun range, the main road going up, and the road to the right that goes out to LT1 where people ride ATVs and motorcycles. So that area, you could only, once we get the road in, we only access that from the end of Burma, which is on your left-hand top corner, which will be, the road will be coming down right below Weyerhaeuser, and above the Petlocks property, and joining Cowlitz County property right past Weyerhaeuser there, and then wrapping directly into the gun range, and then down to the right, down to those four homes that we have to get access to. And the white line you see down the right-hand corner would be the new driveway system where we put in after we get the road.
After the road.
Roads in place. As we talked about before, we do plan on paving the spot between Weyerhaeuser and the Petlocks, but between that little ravine and the it's hard to tell in the ravine, but the forested area right to the right of Weyerhaeuser, that's going to have a lot of fill in it. That will be left gravel for one season and then pave that in 2027.
Okay.
Still working on final details with the landowners there and hopefully get something in front of you in the next week or two for emergency contracts and start that process and project.
Where's the ravine you gotta fill?
So yeah, where Weyerhaeuser, below Weyerhaeuser, that straight stretch, and then it curves, the road curves up to the north.
Yeah,
That's the ravine we're going through.
okay.
Yeah. You got some streams in there too, don't you? If this accurate?
It's fairly accurate, yes.
Yeah, because it looks like there's some creek or streams in there.
Yeah, it's dry even out this time of year. I don't know if it's because of the dredge spoils. We still are putting a culvert system, of course, in that area.
Yeah.
So still hoping to have that open by early summer.
Yeah.
We've been in communication with all the homes in that
Yeah,
area.
correct. Yes. Anytime we drive out there, they're in communication with us also.
Yeah, I would guess so, right?
How many houses total?
There'd be four houses that we have to get access to. And hopefully Susan, I think Susan's gone next week, but the week after we'll probably have the contracts in front of you when we get done with negotiations.
Yeah. You guys have done a good job on that. That's
Right.
kind of put you under the gun a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah, that last little rainfall pushed it a little
Yeah.
quicker than we anticipated, but it's going to be done either way. Thank you. Item number 2, special market conditions. I have a picture of a 1-ton truck up there. This is actually budgeted for this year. You guys approved this truck purchase in our normal budget hearings last fall, winter. We actually came across a truck. We're trying to save money as best we possibly can. So under special market conditions, we can move ahead and not off a state contract, actually purchase a vehicle that's advantageous to the county. This is actually a 2024 model. It is brand new. It's in Idaho, and it's $10,000 cheaper than buying a 2026. It's a Chevy 1-ton crew cab, 4-wheel drive, off state contract at $73,000. This particular pickup is $63,000. It comes with the same warranty, sold as new with all of the factory warranties intact. So we'd like to get the approval today to move ahead and buy this one instead of a 2026. When we resell these, they usually have hundreds of thousands of miles on them. And so between a 24 and a 26 really doesn't matter on the resale value.
Yeah.
The one we're currently replacing is a 2015 with 202,000 miles, and currently we're still using that truck. But like I said, it was budgeted last year for this year for replacement.
And we can just tell the others, or we didn't even place an order?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
No, no order placed.
Okay,
We,
we're good.
we came across this one, it's like, ooh, there was only 224s left in the entire country that we saw that was set up like this. There's quite a few 25s. That saved us a little bit of money, but the 24s, like I said, saved us $10,000. So it kind of made sense to still buy a brand new truck.
Yeah.
Who drives to Idaho to get it?
Pardon me?
Who's gonna drive to Idaho to get it?
I'm going to Boise in a few weeks, so I just told them I'd drive it back for them.
Is this over in the Boise area?
Outside of Boise, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Good.
You guys okay with that for us for moving forward? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Hi.
Patrick Harbison, Assistant County Engineer. I just have two things next on the agenda. Back in November, October, we had the sweet birch failure on the storm line.
Yeah.
We're working on closing that project out completely, and we would like to rescind the possession and use that we received from the property owners, just to clear things up and make sure that Cowlitz County is not on any of the titles anymore when they go to purchase that, and make that as valuable as possible to the owners. And so I'm requesting authority to have the chairman sign that rescission of possession and use today.
Okay. We needed it so we could get in and do the work, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That one was even faster than Tootle Park, so we needed it so we could get in the next day and fix that and correct it so that we didn't lose any houses in the process.
Did we just do something on this earlier?
Believe we closed the emergency out,
That's what it was.
yeah, a
Okay.
couple weeks ago.
Yep.
These are just trying to dot our i's and cross our t's, so. The other thing on the agenda is the annual crab reporting. That is due April 1st. The documents include an annual certification, capital or CAP accomplishments, which is the actual expenditures on eligible roads, maintenance management certification, diversion and TLE certification, county road actual and expense summary, a road log certification, a fifth passage barrier removal document, and an annual construction report. This is required to have the chairman sign, and CRAB sends that to you in a DocuSign, and so we wanted to,
Crab sends it to me?
yes.
And is that so we can apply for certain grants?
This is a requirement about being a county and having county roads. It's County Road Advisory Board. So this is just a state law requirement that we turn in all these documents. Takes a couple of months for the staff to put it together and work with Susan to get this done. So,
I think she mentioned it a little bit ago that she was
Yep.
working on it.
so we appreciate all staff that's put all the hours into this and making it what it is. So, any questions on any of those documents or anything at this point? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Savannah Clement, Public Works. I am back today for a couple different items, but I'm going to start with the first one, which is custodial. Back in December, the board gave us permission to move forward for first quarter of this year to do custodial extra help. And so I am back with some costs, and then also a request to continue to use custodial services through a temporary employer. And currently the costs for the entire quarter, and these are actuals I took from invoices, but I did round up a little bit. It's about $8,500 a month. And about rounding up 26,000 a quarter. So it'll be a little over 100,000 if we continue for the entire year. And just a reminder, the last contract we signed, which was I think back in 2022, went up a little bit yearly, was about 235,000 for the year. And then the recent bids we got were I think they were over 350 for the year. So those are the comparable costs that we're working with. So I am here to ask for a little direction, permission to continue at least for another quarter. I can come back quarterly, or Or we could get permission through the end of the year and then come back during budget. I mean, whatever the board prefers, we do.
What areas are we utilizing the service in?
So primarily the public areas and so any publicly accessible areas, hallways, stairwells, elevators, bathrooms, and then anything that the public doesn't go to is done by the department. So private office areas, private restrooms, private kitchens are done by departments at this time.
This is all county buildings or just specific ones?
It's pretty much countywide. We started off with the large buildings, so this building, HOJ, and then we've started to slowly get smaller buildings like the museum, their public bathrooms, HHS, kind of the outlying buildings. We've started to branch out and do their public restrooms as well. So we're trying to get every public restroom and lobby area that the county has.
And those areas are getting done and cleaned and.
Correct, yes. The other piece of this is we kind of redid all of our inventory, our ordering system. We streamlined everything, which is good. It was much needed, and got rid of things we don't use or don't need. And so I think that'll over time also save us money because we weren't managing that before. The janitorial contract holder was. And so now we've taken it over from facilities, so.
Did we ever recover any of our equipment that was?
We did.
Okay, good.
We did recover the equipment that was taken.
Good.
Is this after hours work or is this during the day?
We have a daily porter, we call her a daily porter, excuse me. Rosie's primarily works admin building and HOJ during the day. And then we kind of have a swing shift, which is Jill, and then she does more of the 3 p.m. to later in the evenings. And she's doing the floor cleaning, the things we can't really do during the day with traffic. So things that would be like, getting in the way of the public, she tries to do at that evening shift. I pulled the time cards, they work anywhere from like 32 hours to 37 hours a week on average. So it's not like a full 40.
I know this doesn't make sense, but it's something that I have noticed. It seems to me that the areas are actually cleaner now than they were before.
That actually tracks well because we are now managing the people that are working here. We're managing the inventory and equipment. We know what's being used and when. Before we were managing the contract more, where we didn't have direct oversight over the people who were doing the things, and we would find out a lot of times months later that things weren't being done and people were doing them. So this does help us get a lot more control as far as cleanliness goes.
And it looks like you said the last bid we got was over 300,000. So we're doing this at about the third
Right.
of the cost.
What it would have been.
We're assuming some of the work ourselves. I mean, we had to buy a left-handed toilet bowl cleaner.
Correct. Yeah, like I said, there'll be some we haven't calculated the cost savings either with the inventory, kind of revamping that. So I will also say some positives. A lot of elected officials, department heads, and management teams have taken over. And I can't say that with everyone, so hopefully I'm not getting anybody in trouble, but they've actually taken over doing a lot of the restroom cleaning and the garbage collection. So they've stepped up a lot. I do, and I appreciate them for doing that.
I personally am good with doing it by the quarter, just
Okay.
given the constraints that we're under, so we can reevaluate things as we move along. But I'm good with doing it quarterly.
Okay. I'm seeing another head nod.
Yeah.
Okay, do that. And did you pass these out? Okay, awesome. And then I'm gonna recruit Sean up here for our next item. We had met with the board a couple weeks ago and we talked about facilities overview, high level, looking at our large properties, high volume properties like the Hall of Justice, the admin building, and then looked at some of our ancillary properties and seeing what opportunities there were for consolidation. And then also looking at possible surplus and sale options. And so I'm back today with Sean. I believe we have some costs associated with some of the properties we've been looking at, as well as some maintenance costs over the last year or so that we were going to go over. And so I wanted to hand you back the same presentation that we had originally. We didn't prepare extra documentation because to me this is just very fluid in that we have assessed values on some of these items, buildings, which aren't going to be a bullseye necessarily on what our value could be selling them. So I didn't want to do something so formal that it would be set in stone. So hopefully that disclaimer is okay with you guys. Okay. And so what we did is kind of approach this with low-hanging fruit. So things that we could sell, again, quicker, easier for a higher dollar. And so if you guys go to that, I guess it's page 2, those 3 vacant lots, in talking to our on-contract realtor, their approach would be to sell all 3 together. And I would also be in favor of that. And they're looking at that, selling the 3 lots together at about $300,000. To me, that would represent good value for the county to do. If we were to get direction today, which I plan on asking for that, to sell these lots, because we don't have any future intended use for them. And it could bring in a good return to go back on the tax roll, which they are currently not on. So that's the first review. I will go back at the end and kind of get a request unless,
Remind me how we got them?
well, there used to be a house on the middle lot. And I don't know if we purchased it with the hall future expansion. The hall was built to potentially expand north. I don't know if the county purchased it as a parking area.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
That kind of makes more sense to me, but we're not sure of the intended use.
So it was residential at some
Yeah,
point.
there was a house there, yep.
Okay.
Okay, then we are moving into those 2 vacant lots on Greystone Road. Those are a little bit harder to assess. We would probably need our realtor to go out there, take a look at them to get a better value, but I can come back to the board and request future direction, but we would recommend also selling those.
Are they adjacent to each other?
I believe so, yes. So that one just takes a little bit more research.
And they're each 1.77 approximately?
No, those are, I believe, combined, because one had 0 acres and the other one had 1.77. So we just assume that whatever's on the lower one is probably primarily just right of way, and maybe we purchased it for road expansion and abandoned it. I believe that was the background. Yes.
Yeah, those were purchased for road expansion, of the curve there. The city did annex that before our project took place, though.
Gotcha.
Kate, I'm going to move to the next one if we're okay with
Why
that.
wouldn't we
Oh.
redefine those as 1 lot instead of 2?
And we can do that. Yeah, that can be done for sure.
And, those could be sold as a single or individual. We can do that,
Yeah.
whatever's most beneficial for the county on that.
What value is a lot that has 0 acres?
I'm guessing that it's just
It's a smaller piece, yeah.
less than 1 acre, but they don't.
Garden lot or what?
Yeah.
A lot of the residential sized lots inside city limits, when we look on the assessor's page, don't actually have an acreage attached to them. They're just a city lot.
Is this the lot where when we're doing, road work, that they meet down there? They meet on this lot at all? The trucks do, and
Not that I don't believe so, no. This one, though, we're going to do some, oh, go ahead.
because this is Kalama. This is right across from the church. As you enter Greystone, there's that pull out right there.
oh, okay.
You're thinking down by Kilkelly and
That's
Todd.
the one I was
Yeah.
thinking. Okay. It
Benefit
looks
of
kind of
a,
like that one, but okay.
the benefit of a 0 or very near 0 lot, it's a lot easier boundary line adjusting the 2 lots than to subdivide it.
Mhm.
So if you buy both of them and you adjust that line that's mixing them into 2 quote buildable lots, it's a lot easier to do that, a lot cheaper than it is to go through the entire short plat process.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So that one today, we'll have to come back with more information on the valuation and the lot size, but just to make sure that's on your radar, we'll be back for that one. Same with one of the first top lot on the 3rd page. This is an irregular, and that's the Ocean Beach Highway lot. It's about 13 acres. A lot of the topography is not buildable. It's a hill. But it is a flag lot in that there's an entrance from the road and there is a small area for buildable space. That one will take some more research and working with our real estate agent and maybe building and planning on how feasible it is to sell it and if it's marketable. So that's gonna be on hold till next time. It's not one of the low-hanging fruit. The next slide down are the two Janus House properties. I do know we have a current lease, but I did want the board to know that these houses will be marketed at about 300,000 each, which I was surprised at.
Wow.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought. I thought that was pretty high, especially, we've done a recent walkthrough, but, even to be conservative, 250 each.
How big are those lots?
Actually, they're pretty deep for being city lots, yes. One of them, the one on the left-hand side has a full, I would call a shop garage in the back. It's a large covered area, enclosed garage. It's actually pretty nice.
And those lots go very deep from Washington almost all the way to the jail fence line. So very deep there.
I remember right, these were just gonna be bulldozed. And then,
And then they were offered as, yep, useful
for-
place.
if they started fixing them up or started
Mhm.
doing something with them.
So I did not plan to get approval for these lots, but I did want the board to know the potential value and for the future. Okay,
And that's 300 per lot?
yeah, each. So before we go to the next group, are you guys ready to make any decisions on the surplus, moving forward on the surplus of these properties and then a potential sale? And so I'll go through them again. So it's going to be those 3 vacant lots. We would be ready to surplus those and get those up on the market. We do some future research on the 2 vacant lots in Kalama and then bring those forward for surplus and sale. In addition to the vacant lot on Ocean Beach Highway, which is 13 acres, do additional research, surplus and sale.
For me, the only thing that I would ask that would concern me is the lease that we have with the Janus House and what you would do about that.
Yeah, and yeah, so that would not be on the list for now for surplus, but definitely on our radar, working with Sean.
Yeah, so those were 5-year leases when we signed those. They do have convenience clauses in there. I do think they do good work for the community, in my personal opinion. But that'd be a board decision if we'd like to move forward on those or not.
So I've been thinking about this and looking at the last presentation that you guys got us, and I tried to find any negatives to it. Are there any potential pitfalls that you guys can see? I'm looking at it from the standpoint, it's gonna give us a little bit of a revenue bump. We can get these things back on the tax roll long-term, and we don't have the deferred maintenance. I mean, I don't know, on the lots, we obviously don't have much, but I like the term low-hanging fruit, that we can start doing stuff.
And yeah, these are all, the ones we're proposing today, which are the three property groupings, are all vacant land. And then again, the surplus process is a public hearing process. So they're going to come back to the board again, to discuss in the public. And it's a process. Just to start it kind of starts today with some direction from the board.
I do want to clarify on the Ocean Beach Highway property that has been previously surplus.
True.
There just has not been much interest, nor have we marketed it much.
Correct.
So we just need to make it a little bit more attractive price-wise. probably.
And list it. We
Yeah,
never
list
listed
it.
it. So.
The original hope was Storedall would be interested as it was connecting, and unfortunately that pit is no longer operating.
Yeah.
They don't operate that pit out there anymore.
So like the 3 vacant lots in Kelso, do we cut the grass and maintain those on a routine basis?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm okay with what you want to do. We're talking those 3 sets
Three,
of lots.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move forward on those 3. All right, and so the next topic that I was seeking direction for today was looking at current building consolidation. And again, just focusing on the low-hanging fruit, that from a facility standpoint and a future, maintenance standpoint, it would be the health department building. It's in a prime real estate location, commercial location. Our realtor stated, you know, depending, without doing a walkthrough and a lot of research, it could go from anywhere from a low 1.2 million to, you know, higher 1.6 million.
What building is that?
Health department building.
Oh,
So if we were to look at consolidating the health department, it is the low hanging fruit as far as ancillary buildings go. They have the staff counts that we could move them to the annex building. That would be a potential building that the county could sell. And so that one is on page 7.
How many, do you know how many people over there?
14. So they, oh, you're good. Okay. I'm gonna do a bad guess of 14, but that could be high.
Okay.
They had recent retirees that retired and they didn't fill them, and I'm not quite sure how many people that was, 2 or 3.
I'm going to completely contradict and go with a higher 24.
Oh, wow, okay. So anywhere between 14 and 24. Does that help?
Well, I'm just parking capacity.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
what do we have a budget annually as far as what maintenance we do at this building?
Yeah, so it facilities charges the health department about $43,000 annually to maintain that site. And those were 2025 numbers, so that did include custodial charges on there. I'm not sure how we're gonna be charging out the temporary staff we're doing currently, so it would be a reduced value from there. And that was about $1 a square foot, so that's about $10,000 on that property
For custodial.
for custodial annually.
I like the idea of using the annex and even consolidating some of the health department that we have downstairs in with it. And putting them all together in one location. Currently, we have a fairly nice building that is sitting empty. And this has commercial value. This one, I think we could sell this fairly quickly.
It did have a new roof a couple of years ago. We did some new overlay on the parking lot. I think the only thing upcoming would be HVAC if we were to stay in the building and, you know, needing to do that maintenance. That would be next.
Have we looked at the parking situation? If it's 24 people, we have space for 24 cars.
And yeah, and parking is definitely the elephant in the room, right, as far as using the annex building. So at this point in time, you know, we would be asking the board for direction to pursue that research. We've been very cautious in going down the road when we're talking about moving departments and selling large buildings. I mean, that gets people not happy, you know, so today, and I'm not saying that they're not happy. We did talk, Mike reached out to Gina, hey, we're going to talk about this. You know, she was aware. So I don't know that going down this road is going to be a bad thing. It's just we need board direction to be able to say, hey, how many people would you need ideally over here and how many, you know, office spaces? So that would kind of get that ball rolling and finding out more. So today we're not asking that the board, okay, the consolidation and sale of the building. We're just asking for direction on moving forward on pursuing that option more in more depth. So.
And we did see some anecdotal evidence. We had the PA's office over here temporarily. That was between 25 and 30 people at
was.
that point. Looking at the lots during that time, our lower lots did have space, but our upper lots and museum lots did feel pressure on parking there. It was a little bit of a battle to park up here versus walking, you know, half a block away.
I did notice I had to get here earlier. They were here to get a spot.
You leave for lunch, you're probably not getting it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's just logistics that we would have to work out. I'm in favor of pursuing it.
Okay. Just looking for one more. Commissioner Farrell? Okay, so we'll come back with more information on that, more of those details, staff counts, stuff like that, parking. We'll come back at a future meeting. That works. Aside from the sale and consolidation, I don't have any other requests for direction as far as facilities goes, but I did give the board that packet and I wanted to offer this as an opportunity. If you had future items you want us to look into, questions, please let us know.
Did we come up with a definitive plan with regards to the building that we went and looked at with the sheriff for animal control?
We just, There's nothing definitive. We would come to the board. We have done some research. We're building a scope of work to get that building set up and scoped out for purpose of animal control. So we did a walkthrough. We had our project coordinator do a walkthrough. They sent me the scope of work and we're working out pricing. And we'll cue in this gentleman to tell us,
Well,
give
we're
us
meeting-
advice on.
We're meeting with Kelso tomorrow.
Okay.
With Brad's.
Oh.
And so hopefully we can come up with some numbers.
You know, in kind of scoping the project out, we really need to know who all of our partners are going to be
Mhm.
and what the scale of that partnership's going to look like as well, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think Longview's voting on their contract next week, if I remember, I
Oh,
think I
wow.
heard that. Yeah.
So stay tuned on that one.
Right now, Longview's got what, some type of a sheltering agreement?
Yeah, when I just talked to Brad this last week, we talked a little bit about numbers. We've taken in 8 dogs and 6 of them have been given back to their owners. And we're currently working with some of the nonprofits that we have called and said, hey, we've got these animals and we're helping them with the spay and the neutering and getting them ready to be adopted. So they're helping with that. Looking at the facility, if we decide that we're going to utilize that facility, then that would be the central location where people can bring the dogs and the cats. But that'll all be hashed out tomorrow with Kelso, what they're going to do.
Sean did bring up one other property could bring up for consideration, just not seeking direction today, but just to think about. Courthouse Square, which is that residential looking building next to the jail, houses our drug court staff right now. That assessed value came in pretty high, shockingly high. So just to make you guys aware, that building does need a lot of work. It's on page 9 of your handout. But the tax assessed value of that is about 610,000. I know. We thought that's what I was like, we hadn't intended because it needs so much work to have that as a low hanging fruit. To list it, but because the assessed value is so high, Sean thought it was important to mention, so good call.
Probably where it sits.
It's on a
Man.
Mhm.
terrible lot. As far as space goes, the lot's very narrow.
And unfortunately with that lot, there's a small slice that we do not own and have not been able to get ownership of that
Is that the Indian?
that is the Indian one,
It is.
yes, the Native American.
Chief from back east?
I think
Yep.
it's Chief.
Chief Dull Knife.
Yes, that's it.
The location of it is good for drug court, but that's pretty much about it, you know. We've talked previously, I brought up the fact that we have some alternative sources of funding for drug court that's not coming from taxes, and we should not have to use the opioid money. One of the options that we have, if we can qualify for it, is if drug court is in this building, there might be some money available to rehab it, to, remodel it, to bring it up to, I'm sure it's up to code, but, to bring it up so that it's aesthetically looks a little bit better and more sound. So we can look into that if need be. I think that we have plenty of space to house drug court outside of this location. And I would personally like to see us, if we need to fix it up, see if we can utilize that money that's available. If not, I would like to see us sell it myself.
Any other comments on that one?
Well, we've had part of the conversations in the past with, when we've talked about juvenile as a smaller facility, and at one point in time, I think we felt that you could raise that and build a smaller thing there, so that little space may have some uses for us, I don't know, but
Okay. Well, we'll keep that one on the back burner. Just for now, we'll focus on the 3 we got direction on, and then come back with some more information on health department. Okay. Does the board have any more items for us? That's all we got?
That's a good point, Mr. Chair. about the juvenile facility. And since we're just talking, we have the jail at above the courthouse. It's just sitting there empty. How, do we have an idea as to how much it would cost us to get that ready to go and have juvenile there and then sell the juvenile facility that we have?
So what we would need to do, what I would recommend doing is working with our on-call architect to at least give us some kind of feasibility. I don't think you'd need the whole 45,000 square feet that's up there for what we're seeing housed. And so we would look at those types of numbers, get some direction, bring it back to the board. There's also, Sean, do you want to talk about maybe a different approach or a different option?
You know, in the past, we've talked about also raising the blocks and rebuilding to a smaller structure that's more right size for our county. That's another option. Looking at the third floor of the Hall of Justice, we have to remember the time when that was abandoned and the infrastructure that was used at that time, which is comparable to the same infrastructure that'd be at our current juvenile facility or older. That structure was abandoned, I believe, in 2004 when the new jail was built. And so there may just be as much in the remodel cost as it may be to build a new right-size facility for ourselves.
How many jail cells are on the third floor of the Hall of Justice?
A lot.
A lot. We could come back with a floor plan. That'd be helpful.
And we have the older wings, and then we have a newer wing that was built in, I believe, 85, 10 years after the original build.
The newer wing was built in 85?
Mhm. If you look from the outside, that'd be the overhang.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Was it one of the problems they had to deal with there is the inmates learned that if they plugged the toilets, they could screw up the
That's-
floors below?
That's correct.
If what?
Yeah.
The inmates learned if they plugged the toilets, it would screw up the floors below with water and stuff.
And stuff.
You start flooding the third floor, it's gonna run downhill, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, the courtrooms are below those.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it brings up a good point to explore options for both juvenile and intended use of that third floor that is currently, for the most part, being completely unused. It was abandoned in place. So.
Technology and stuff is probably better, so you probably mitigate some of that,
Mhm.
but
Run all plumbing on the exterior. No, that would be problematic too. So would the board like us to pursue looking at other options for juvenile and or the third floor jail, just what's possible?
I know I personally would. That's especially the juvenile thing. We've been talking about that for a very long time. And eventually, if we don't do something, it's gonna come up to bite us, I feel. We're either gonna have to spend the money to get it up to par,
Mhm.
or we need to start pursuing other avenues.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to look at options, whether we like them or not, we need to look at options.
Okay. So what I'm hearing from two, I can come back with just kind of some options that we meet with internally, maybe get some better direction on what you guys would like us to do in working with the architect, because of course there's costs associated with that too. So we'll meet internally and come up maybe some options, bring to the board and get your feedback. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Okay. All right. I got no projects because Millig's almost done. So man, what am I going to do with my time?
How is that going? Are we still on track for?
Yeah, it's going really well. We had a meeting this morning that I almost missed. Thanks, Kelly. No, it's good. We have contingency left. We're hoping for some returns back, which is good. We're on track to finish, so be good.
When I go over there, I don't notice so much the air part of it,
Mhm.
but the lighting definitely has.
Yeah, it
made
makes a difference. That's definitely the tangible thing, right? When you walk in, I think for the air, heating and cooling, we're hearing more from the employees, like, oh man, how much better it's improved
Yeah.
on that front. So. All right. So we got some homework. Back.
okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
John, you wanted a quick executive session before we,
If there was time, yeah, we were looking for a quick executive session, 10, 15 minutes for qualifications of a public employee.
okay? Is it 15.
You upgraded the size of your candy bars. You got some bigger in there. You got some bigger candy bars in there now.
The board is extending the executive session for a period of 5 minutes until 2:32 p.m.
Okay, back from executive session, no decisions rendered.
Danielle's online.
Okay. Doesn't Sean kind of lead these? Okay. See Judge Fassett. Danielle. Well, I'll just take you how I got you on, on the list. I said Superior Court. If you have anything you,
Hi, commissioners. How are you?
good,
Good.
Good. Can you guys hear me okay?
yeah.
Sorry if there's drilling in the background. We've had about 15 minutes straight of drilling and hammering. We don't know what's going on, but hopefully it doesn't impact
good.
this. I don't think, and Judge Fassett can chime in, I don't think we really have a lot. One thing that we did kind of want to point out to you all, if you aren't aware, is there is proposed changes to GR 33 that are up for comment. GR 33 is relates to ADA accommodations within the court. The changes will impact how the requests are reviewed and considered. Part of this, the requester will no longer be required to provide what their disability is upfront, and the court will not be able to ask further questions about their disability in reviewing and determining their accommodations. I think the biggest concern for us is the court-appointed attorney request that we receive under GR 33, which we already received quite a few of those. And so I guess our thought is if there's less restriction on what can be provided to the court when the request is made, there's less ability for the court to gather more information to determine whether or not a court-appointed attorney is appropriate accommodation. We're concerned we're going to see an uptick of those, which is going to impact us financially. I know the Administrators Association is submitting comments, and so we just wanted to let you guys know that it's out there if you wanted to go look at it, comment if you'd like. Just wanted you to be aware of it.
And Danielle, did you say that that has already been implemented and passed?
No, there is GR 33, but there are proposed changes that came from a disability task force that did a survey of court users recently, and the results of that survey kind of started all of these proposed changes in the rule. So it's up for comment right now until April 30th.
I think if I can chime in, the main concern for us is it specifically carves out in the proposal that the funding lack thereof is not an excuse to deny appointment of an attorney. So that is frustrating. I think that's part of a common theme. I don't want to say bigger counties outlining what other smaller counties need to do, but obviously the resources are hard to come by as is. And when we have this proposal for GR 33 and needing to find counsel for that, and basically it requires us to document every attorney that we've reached out to, what they're willing to do or not do, and keep track of that for every single case. And if we get 12 no's, we still have to keep going. So it's going to be staff time and trying to reach out and find attorneys. And then once we get one, having to pay for that. And that's not how it currently is. I think funding is allowable as a consideration when making that determination now, and it would not be under this new rule, which is concerning to, I think, well, it should be concerning to everybody, but so that's our huge concern because it's going to be a definite chunk of time from staff just trying to reach out to folks. And I know you're all very aware of the caseload standards. So with coupled that on top of this, it's just less than ideal, is the nicest way I can put it. And so it's staff time and it's obviously and I think Danielle, it's under services rendered or what section is that under? We have like a certain budget for,
In our budget, oh yeah.
paying.
It's under, we've got a court-appointed attorney line that we use specifically for the GR 33 requests. We have court-appointed attorneys in other areas, but those are just done through professional services. We've
Okay.
kind of pulled that out so that we could kind of keep track of what those costs are per year for GR 33 specific attorneys. And to add to what Judge Fassett said, our list of attorneys that are even willing to take any court-appointed cases is small. And sometimes we're going weeks before we can get somebody a court-appointed attorney. So in that time, any hearings that are scheduled are getting postponed because we can't get attorneys appointed.
Judge, what's the Bar Association's take on a lot of this stuff?
Great question. It runs the gamut, to be very fair. I would say as a whole, I haven't seen if the WSBA has made a specific comment on this rule, but I can tell you that the State Court Administrators Association and the Superior Court Judges Association are opposed to it. I can get back to you on if the WSBA has made a comment on it. And it would be interesting to know. I don't know the answer to that.
Because I'm just wondering where a lot of this is coming from. Who's driving a lot of this that's taking place? I know you said the bigger counties, but somebody somewhere has to be on board with this stuff moving forward.
I can't tell you about this specifically. I can tell you that in 2019, when I was appointed, I was voluntold to be on a group for, it was the public, what was the specific name? Public Defenders Association Committee. And they have a couple judicial officers on that committee because I just came out of the public defense. And they were working on at the time a proposal to the Supreme Court and legislation for a change in how we do release conditions. So I know that there's a lot of committees that get tasked with forming certain work groups on certain areas, and that's where these ideas kind of blossom from.
Yeah, this one specifically, it says the Disability Justice Task Force. I'm looking at the website right now. I was just curious if it listed, who was on there, but I know that they had sent out a survey to court users and took results from that survey and kind of came up with these changes.
It's probably an unelected body somewhere.
Sure. So where would we send comments? I mean, who?
We can get you that website. There's a public
Send that
comment.
over to us? Yeah.
Yep,
that'd be
Sure,
great.
absolutely. We're sharing that with whomever would like it.
I haven't heard Wasack talking about that. Maybe I'm missing it, but
They haven't been. I will have to ask.
I'll send it to you guys after our meeting here.
thank you.
Yeah.
I do have a meeting on Friday with Gina as well as Dallas and a few other folks regarding some supplemental funding for drug court. So we're working on getting that process started and seeing what we can do with as little money from the general fund as possible for that program. and I will, that's after our liaison meeting, but I'll let you know, Commissioner Rader, how that works out. We, at this point, based on kind of preliminary review, we do think that we would fall, or at least an employee could fall squarely within that grant for drug court, which would be a big help, and allow kind of a reallocation of other funds. So I'll keep you posted on that. We obviously are also aware of the announcements from yesterday, and we're doing what we can. I've already had conversations with Mike Schultz and George Moya from Juvenile, and Danielle and I have been working on what we can do and have already reached out. I think Danielle reached out earlier today to get some clarification on from Sean regarding a few questions that we had and when we could meet with him to try to move that ball forward as well.
Yeah, we appreciate your guys' effort in helping us with that. And we've had some good conversations, Judge, and I'm thankful for your willingness to help us with the juveniles court, with drug court, and with everything that you're stepping up to help us with. Grateful for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Rader. I appreciate that. I do want to also say we asked Miss Grayson or Mr. Moy asked Miss Grayson to lump us all together so we're all together. But because Juvenile already had a meeting with you all in the first quarter, Mr. Moya and Mr. Schultz are just, I think, watching, and they didn't actually log in to attend today. But our hope is moving forward, we'll all be appearing in front of you in one group.
Cool.
And I know, and I can say that Mr. Schultz has, and Mr. Moya have been working on everything that was discussed yesterday, and that we had a heads up about the week prior. And I can't say that I'll have an update by this liaison meeting, but we'll keep you posted on how that's going as well.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any questions or concerns or things that? All right,
Not seeing any.
we will send over the public comment website for GR33, and if you want any other information about that, let us know. I think Danielle has the letter in opposition from the Superior Court Administrators Committee. So if you want to see that as well, I'm sure she could send that as over, and I can pull the SCJA comments on that as well if you are interested. Otherwise, we'll just send you the link so you can review.
Judge, I think those would be helpful so we don't
Sure.
reinvent the wheel.
At least it parses out, kind of the areas of concern. So we'll shoot all those over to you as soon as possible.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Have a great afternoon.
You
Too.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Can't think of any.
I think we're good, huh?
Covered a lot
Done enough
today.
damage?
Yeah.
Okay, we will adjourn.